Hi everyone, this is Martina. As I have mentioned in my previous video about immune system, in this we will be talking about microbiome. Now we know that microbiome plays a crucial role in overall body's resilience and strength against the viruses and bacteria, right? The nutrition obviously plays a crucial role in gut diversity and gut's health, really. But there will be circumstances when nutrition is simply not enough, and we will have to reach for help in terms of creating the diversity which we do need and which we do want to have in our gut in forms of healthy bacteria. And so that's what we are going to be talking now today in this video. So let's cover the basics first, perhaps. Gut flora fluctuates all the time. The bacteria in the gut have a quite short lifespan, and they do change quite quickly and quite fast, and obviously regularly. And that would be for better or for worse, strongly depending on our nutrition and our lifestyles as well. And so if we change eating habits, for example, if one has nutrition which is very heavy on animal products or heavy on processed foods and sugars, and person changes this kind of lifestyle and the nutritional style, most importantly for better, in terms of more plants and fruits and legumes and all these healthy, nutritious foods, this person can have a different microbiome in 3 days. So you can see how fast this can go for better or for worse. And the process would be similar if the changes are for worse. So if you are eating healthy and your nutrition is full of live foods, plants most importantly, but you change it for worse, for example, in 3 days you can have a different microbiome. So, as I have said, nutrition and lifestyle and exercise are playing a crucial importance in gut diversity, and diversity needs to be emphasized. That's what we want to achieve. Now, there will be, however, circumstances and cases where person will not be able, even though eating healthily and very plant-heavy diet, will not be able to get that kind of diversity that one wants and one needs. So what would be the circumstances and scenario when we would need to reach for help in terms of probiotics? Number one would be the most obvious one, and that is the antibiotics, right? Anti-biome means anti-life. And hence, we know that the strong all antibiotics in reality do have adverse and negative influence on the gut microbiome, right? So that will be number one. And number two will be strong toxic and chemical exposure, such as chemotherapy or radiotherapy. This would be the second one, which is severe damaging effect on gut microbiome. So let's talk about it a little bit in detail, right? Our Western contemporary society has become, over the past 2 decades perhaps, strongly antibiotic resistant. And that would be because antibiotics are prescribed way too often in many times unnecessarily prophylactic way and measure, in terms of just in case. And while this may be sometimes relevant and needed, it is prescribed way too often, and hence we are resilient against antibiotics. What does it mean? That we are being most often prescribed multiple courses of antibiotics within a short period of time. So how does it work in the real life? And perhaps many of you can relate, either from your own experience or from your children or from somebody you know. So real life example, during the high flu season, which are usually the months between November and perhaps mid-March, let's say January and February, they are the coldest months and people are really sick very often, I think more often than in September, for example, or during the summer months, right? So let's say one gets sick and gets prescribed antibiotics in sometime in the course of January, right? Will take up the whole course of antibiotic, being it 7 days, 10 days, or 2 weeks, and it's not working. You still feel sick, you still feel unwell because the antibiotics are not working really. So you get prescribed another antibiotics right just after you took the first course. So within 2 weeks or 3 weeks, you get 2 courses of antibiotics, really. And most often, or more often than not, the second course would be more strong and potent and is most likely broad spectrum antibiotic. Now, in comparison to the very specific pills or pharmaceuticals in terms of antibiotics that is targeting, for example, certain known bacteria or virus, in these instances, when the first course of antibiotics is not working, one gets prescribed broad spectrum of antibiotics, which means more damage to the already affected gut microbiome, right? So you see within a 1 month or perhaps 5 weeks, you get 2 very strong pharmaceuticals in order to help the infection in the body, however, really severely damaging your gut microbiota. So how fast can your body recover after antibiotics? And it will be quite individual, very depending on your overall body composition, overall body health, before you started to take the first course of antibiotics, right? And nutrition and lifestyle, exercise, right? So it would be depending on each unique circumstances. However, on average, it would be 1.5 months when the body can recover after the first 1 course of antibiotics, let's say, right? So it's between 1 and 2 months. Someone would be quite faster, someone would be somewhat slower. So on average, it is 1.5 months. So it's 6 weeks does need your gut microbiome to come to the state as was before antibiotics. Now, as I have described in the example after the second course, where you in the short period of time take a second course of antibiotics, most likely broad spectrum antibiotics, your body will need months to recover to its original state. However, and yet, not everyone would be able to come to that kind of gut diversity as it was before the first antibiotics taken. And again, it's very individual. Some people would be able, some people won't. And that is depending, as I have said, on the lifestyle and nutrition, as well as on the type of antibiotics you would be prescribed and you will take. And so while on the 1 course of antibiotic, body would need about 6 weeks, after the second course of antibiotics within a short period of time, it will take 4 to 6 months. It will take months to recover. Now, sticking to the real life example, right? Let's say you've got these kind of 2 courses of antibiotics in the winter, in the course of January and February, and you get well after the 2 courses and you feel fine until the fall comes, until the October and November comes, when the flu season starts to pick up again, and you get sick again, and you get prescribed antibiotics yet again. So in this scenario, and these are live examples, this is what is happening in the Western world quite regularly and commonly. This is nothing uncommon. And so when you get prescribed 3 courses of antibiotic within a year or even shorter, which is usually the practice, your gut will not be able to come to its original diversity as it was before the antibiotics taken with the proper food. Even if you will eat healthily and diverse diet full of live foods with a very minimum of animal products, you will not be able to come to that kind of variety and diversity in your gut after the 3 courses of antibiotic within 8, 9, or 12 months, right? And these are the cases when we do need to reach out for help in forms of probiotics, right? There is simply no way that our body will be able to recover to its original quote-unquote state, right? Now, probiotic is one thing and prebiotic is another one. And I will cover this in a little bit, what to pay attention to and how can you ensure in form of pharmaceuticals or pills the gut diversity again to build up your body strength so you get more resilient against viruses when again the flu season comes, right? So we'll cover that in a bit. So that would be the antibiotics part. Now, the second, which I have mentioned, would be chemotherapy or radiotherapy. Now, this is such a strong toxic exposure that your body will by no means be able to come to the previous original diversity. What is happening in the real life, since it's really destroying the immune system that greatly and that severely, many times people are being even prescribed or given in a prophylactic way even the antibiotics to overly that severely damaged gut, because just in case, right? And that would be happening perhaps most often if there is a fear of infection when there was a surgery prior the chemotherapy, which is quite common happening, right? In case of, for example, lung cancer, breast cancer, or you name it, right? So there is a surgery preceding the chemotherapy most often. It's not always the case, but it's most often the case, right? And if there is a fear of infection, there are prescribed antibiotics in addition to the chemotherapy, which is completely decimating the gut microbiome, right? In addition to other stuff. Now, what the chemotherapy and radiotherapy are doing, they're targeting the fast growing cells, really. And so these are the cancer cells, but not only. Fast growing and fast changing cell are the intestinal microbiome, as I have said, intestinal bacteria. But they are also hair cells are changing and growing quite fast, nails cells. And that's why we see people undergoing this treatment are losing hair, losing eyebrows, in some severe circumstances, really losing their nails, which is extremely painful, etc. And the obvious ones is the gut microbiota, right? And this is incredibly important that the people after this treatment are really reaching out to highly potent probiotics, right? Now, it does not mean that the nutrition needs to be neglected and probiotics do the magic. We need to be mindful about nutrition. It's obviously the alpha and omega of our health. And the probiotics or any of the supplements, if you will, are only a help. And while sometimes it is incredibly needed help, and it is wonderful that we do have this kind of products available for us to help ourselves, it doesn't mean that we should neglect nutrition, and nutrition needs to be the first and foremost which we're going to change and look at and stick to as well when we are starting to, or trying and thriving and striving to recover our microbiota diversity, right? So what to pay attention to? Now, obviously, as I have said, the scenarios when we do need to reach for probiotic and prebiotic in forms of supplement is definitely the toxic exposure in forms of radiotherapy or chemotherapy or any other toxic and chemistry exposure, chemicals exposure, to be right. And then antibiotics. Now, antibiotics, even if you have, for example, one course of antibiotics, but these are broad spectrum, and you experience symptoms such as diarrhea, then I would suggest that you reach out to probiotics right away. Now, it means that the pharmaceuticals you are being prescribed are really strong, and your body is reacting highly sensitively to antibiotics, because we are all different or unique. And there will be people who are not experiencing antibiotics-connected diarrhea at all, even with a strong antibiotics. However, there will be people who would be with every antibiotics, really. And so if you're experiencing these symptoms, I would suggest it would be wise to start to take probiotics right away. And yes, it is true, while you are taking antibiotics, these probiotics would be killed to some extent, but not in its entirety, in its complexity, right? Some of them will survive and will not be killed by antibiotics. And so it is wise to stick to the time frame of perhaps 3 hours between taking antibiotics and probiotics. Really do not take them together at the same time, right? Allow at least 3 hours window, depends on when you need to take your antibiotic, and after 3 hours take your probiotic, really, right? And obviously nutrition needs to be the point to pay attention to, be mindful about as well. So when you experience diarrhea connected to antibiotics, would be number one when you reach out to probiotics. And when you had even 2 courses of antibiotics within a short period of time, reach out to probiotics. And definitely, if you had 3 courses of antibiotics within a year, it's definitely recommended to reach out to probiotics, right? So these would be 3 scenarios, and obviously the chemotherapy and radiotherapy is just by default and needs to be, the body needs to be recovered or needs to be helped in a way to recover the diversity with pharmaceuticals, right? So these would be scenarios where we should and would be highly recommended to reach out to probiotic help. So what to pay attention to when you choose probiotics? Now, there are 3 points which I'd like to mention where you need to pay attention to when you're going to purchase probiotics. Now, first of all, I'd like that the people are choosing these products not really in the grocery store in these kind of severe circumstances, right? But go to either let it be prescribed by your medical professional, or go to the pharmacy where they can suggest you really and give you advice, professional advice. But don't buy it in the grocery store, as it is common in many countries in the Western world. I know it's in UK the case, I know it's in the US the case, in Canada most likely too. But if you're really looking after this kind of condition and perhaps even severe treatment, go to professionals, really, and don't buy in the grocery store. And there will be reason for that. Those you can buy in the grocery store, they are having either shelf life, which is quite long, but the important attributes which I'm going to be mentioned are not really there. So what to pay attention to? Number one is number of strains of these healthy bacteria. In the probiotic products, there are usually 2 bacteria which they are being present, and that is lactobacilli and bifidobacteria. On the packaging of every product, you have the capital L dot something, you have capital B dot something. L stands for lactobacilli and B for bifidobacteria. So when you try to recover your diversity in the gut and gut health through probiotics, you definitely want to have at least 6 to 8 different strains of bacteria. So usually it's 3 lactobacilli and 3 bifidobacteria. They are different. They need to be different lactobacilli and different bifidobacteria strains. So you get different bacteria, obviously, right? 6 to 8, or there are 4 lactobacilli and 4 different bifidobacteria. So this is what you want to pay attention to, right, on your packaging, to have at least 6 to 8 different bacteria strains. So that would be number 1. Number 2 would be the CFU. CFU is the number of colonies. CFU stands for colony forming unit. And those are the millions and billions of different bacteria in one dose. These are also stated on the packaging. The products that you can buy in grocery store, in form usually some drinks, really, they do have only millions with M in the beginning, in the amount of bacteria. And if you are looking to recover after disease, and if you are looking to recover after severe treatment such as chemotherapy, this will be not enough. You definitely want to go for billions with B in the beginning, and as much as possible, really, in one pill or in one package, because sometimes they come in the powder, which you just dissolve in the water and drink it. So you want to look in billions of different of numbers in terms of these colonies present in one pill. That will be the potent one, really. Millions is simply not enough, right? So that is number 1, number 2, which you need to pay attention to, and that is the number CFUs, which you want to have in billions, right? Number 3, which is extremely important, is production date. Now, you want to have probiotic when you purchase it, the date to be as close to production date as possible. Now, the strains of a bacteria, but most importantly, the number of CFUs, which is stated on the package, is guaranteed by the producer at the point when the product is leaving the factory or when it's being produced. So the longer the shelf life, the greater chance is that the number of CFUs will not be accurate and valid anymore, because these are live organisms we need to keep in mind, right? And so they die off, really, in the pill, if the shelf life is way too long. And so you want to really pay attention to the production date of the product you buy, and you want the date to be of your purchase as close to the production date as possible, right? So that will be number 3, the 3 most important topics to pay attention to, or triggers to pay attention to. Now, another thing with probiotic is they are not all the same, meaning the bacteria are not all the same and are not equal to each other either. There are certain bacteria, they are greatly beneficial for skin health. There are different ones, they are highly potent for health of women health, in vaginal flora, for example, right? Different bacteria are extremely helpful for digestive issues such as inflammatory bowel disease or inflammatory bowel syndrome or ulcerative colitis. And so they are not equal. And I'm saying it not for you to be familiar with which bacteria are fitting for which health condition. This is not why I'm saying it. But what you need to pay attention is to have diversity of the strains when you purchase it. Now, when you get antibiotic for certain virus or infection, for example, when you don't have the broad spectrum, but there is quite known what kind of infection are you dealing with, or bacteria or virus infection, doesn't really matter, are you dealing with, and you get prescribed specific antibiotic targeting this particular virus or bacteria, then there is quite a good chance that you may be fine only with a lower spectrum of strains, really targeting only certain or containing only certain bacteria. Now, in most of the probiotics, you will find only a couple of different strains, perhaps two lactobacilli or one lactobacilli and one bifidobacteria, which may be enough in perhaps when you're overall healthy and you had one course of antibiotics and you didn't experience any symptoms such as diarrhea and you're overall healthy. So this might be fine, but in more severe instances, which I have described, this will be not enough. And you need to be really targeting product which has much greater variety of the healthy organism or beneficial organism to ensure the replenishing the microbiota in a faster pace and a great variety. Remember, variety and diversity is the ultimate thing we want to have and we want to strive for, because this is what is creating the resilient strength of our immune system, right? So that's all which I wanted to mention, what to pay attention to and what you need to be mindful about. Or perhaps before I close up, I've talked about the probiotics in the food, obviously the nutrition. Prebiotics, that's something which I wanted to mention too, I forgot. Now, prebiotics can be sometimes also really helpful to take in a form of supplement. Now, prebiotics are obviously oligosaccharides and carbohydrates and sugars that are feeding the healthy bacteria, right? Now, in some cases where you are not able to get enough probiotics through the nutrition, which would be legumes and whole grains and starchy vegetables such as squash and potatoes, right? You may reach to the supplement in forms of prebiotics, or you can purchase inulin. Inulin is really the ultimate oligosaccharide and prebiotic food. It is found in chicory, it is found present in asparagus, Jerusalem artichokes, for example, right? And if you are not able to find these foods because they are not available, and for example, asparagus is out of the season and Jerusalem artichokes are not available, etc., you can reach to inulin in its pure form. It's available broadly, it's nothing uncommon, either in the health food stores or in the pharmacies, really. So this can be also a good thing to add to your diet when you are trying to recover and replenish your gut microbiome, right? Prebiotic is sometimes forgotten. However, if you are trying to recover the diversity and you are taking probiotic, which are live organisms, really, you need to feed the live bacteria, right? Otherwise they will die off, and hence the probiotic can't be forgotten. It would be a good thing to perhaps add as well when you are trying to recover after disease and perhaps more severe treatment, right? Now, exercise seems to be playing a crucial role as well and helping in diversity too. So that's something which we need to be also keeping in mind, that regular exercise is really helping to healthy bacteria growth as well. Now, when you are coming after the perhaps couple of courses of antibiotics, and definitely if you are after severe treatments such as chemotherapy, there's a great chance that your physical condition is really not there to be doing any strenuous exercise, such as go for a run or do heavy weightlifting or go for a long bike or what have you, right? It's simply not there. And you would need to build up really the health of physical condition to that. And some people will be able to do it faster than the others, and will be also depending on the lifestyle prior the disease and the treatment, right? But if you can do only walk, that's fine, do walk. That's all where you have really the power for, then, but be be persistent about it and be really disciplined and do your work daily without independent on the weather outside, whether it's cold or whether it's warm, whether it's raining, snowing, or it's not, right? And if you can do 20 minutes, only do 20 minutes, but be persistent, don't give up. Because in 10 days or 2 weeks, you will be able to do 40 minutes, for example, right? And you will be able to build up your physical condition to slowly but surely to greater strength, for example, if you will, right? And I mean, walks are the best movements for humankind, for human body. The sedentary lifestyle doesn't fit us. And if your health condition is allowing you to do walking only at this point in time, do walking only. But even the walks are much better than nothing. So be mindful and persistent about exercise being in a walk only. And if you can do more, do more. Definitely do more. If you can do swimming, for example, do swimming if that's what you like. But exercise need to be included as well in the overall recovery of the health, even though we are talking about a microbiota as well, right? So I think now it's all which I wanted to talk about today, which I wanted to cover in this video. So I hope you have found it helpful and meaningful to know for future how can you recover your microbiota and when to reach for help in case it is really fitting and needed for you. So if you did, please press like and subscribe to this channel for more helpful tips and for more videos such as these, and share with others who may find it also helpful on their health journey. So that's all for now, and I'll see you soon. Bye.